share on the file level that Dropbox or Box.net does not have. It's not fully integrated with the rest of your platform. So again, I showed you the preview. You also notice a couple of other things here. So this is modified. Now in this case, this is me, but if it wasn't, I'd have the ability to IAM, call, like we showed before, for anybody that's written a document. So this is incredibly helpful for again for if you're trying to work on something, or if you go to somebody else's shared site, you can see what they've who's modified it last, and you can immediately communicate with them in a way that makes sense. Another important thing here is you see this little sharing here. So I see that it's shared with everybody internally, and I'm the owner of it. Another thing, and this from an IT perspective, you can control whether you want to decide to do this or not. But I can invite people externally, so it's extensible to partners. So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to send somebody at their Hotmail account or Gmail or whatever, what have you, you have the ability to invite them, and then I can decide what the level of permissioning is, and I can decide that I want to have them make it so they have to sign in with the username or password. So it's federated from that standpoint too. So so let's say, for an example, so let's say I'm in a tax department. I don't have to worry about my SharePoint security it doesn't have to get complicated all the way down to the document level, or even the folder level. What you can do now is you can decide which right here you can decide who you share that document with on the document level, and it's it's much more flexible, much easier to use. Another point that I'll show you, it was something that was shown earlier, is you'll see that the SkyDrive is integrated within Windows. So you have the ability to access your SkyDrive, and I can actually just copy and paste this and put this on my desktop too. And if I wanted to, it would look like a regular file on my desktop. And with this up here, I just press sync, and it would sync all the documents from that folder to that desktop folder. So it's much easier to use, and it allows for the offline capabilities. With that, I'll get you back to Samir.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. And one thing that I think we didn't have time to show was, and this is something I use myself, which is my corporate SkyDrive Pro site, where I keep all of my documents, is something I can access from a browser from my home computer, right? I mean, it's the HTTPS URL. I just go in there and I sign in with my Active Directory credentials, and I can get access to my entire set of documents without VPN, without anything else. I mean, it's a secure access, but it's still something that I personally did not have until 4 months ago, and that's really key. I mean, I personally love that, and so I just wanted to kind of bring that up here. So this is really, we're kind of coming at the tail end of it, and this is last but definitely not the least, because this is something that we, as a company, really take extreme pain to focus on, and this is a key investment area across every single thing that we do, and which is really ensure that we're never ever compromising on security and ability for IT control on the infrastructure, whether it's on premises or in the cloud, and making it simpler and easier to manage these multiple workloads, multiple ways of deployment as well. And so I think earlier on in the keynote we saw kind of we heard about BitLocker and even the Windows to Go example. I mean, the secure boot concept is really key, because it's not really just looking at one layer. It goes from hardware to the bootloader, the kernel, to the drivers, and through every stage, if we see some discrepancy at some level, we actually automatically flag that. So it's a really secure way from a Windows 8 point of view as well of how we deliver that security. The fact that every one of us has a mobile phone, and mobile phones get lost, right? And the ability to actually have remote device wipes. I mean, I can go on my, and I've done this once in my life, unfortunately, where I lost my phone, and of course, as soon as I try to get Outlook set up on my phone the first time I got it, Microsoft IT forced a password for the phone, right? I mean, that's a control, again, that I think you all like. But even with that, I mean, again, it's a password which potentially could be hacked. I was able to go instantly to a machine that I did not own. I went to my Outlook web access over, and was through that console I was able to wipe my phone. And I said, okay, I've lost it. I didn't even have to call my IT help desk to actually do that. I was able to actually wipe it from my OA session, which is really great. And so this is 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But that's the theme that we've continued on as we build security from an end-to-end perspective, especially with mobile devices and the cloud services as well. There's a key point on kind of driving high fidelity experiences in a virtualized manner. I mean, virtualization is not necessarily new. I'm sure a lot of you are using it in some shape or form for some applications or server workloads. But what we've done with, especially with the new iterations of products, is deliver really rich experiences in a virtualized environment. For example, if I have a virtualized desktop, right, with a remote RDS, remote desktop services, I can still, despite it being a remote desktop experience, I'm still able to use my touch surface exactly as I would on a real slate. I have access to my USB ports. I have access to all the key tactile, visual things that I normally do on my device. And that's really key. I mean, the 3D rendering, I mean, it's all there. And it's really enhanced compared to what it was a generation ago or a version ago. So those are really key points. The last piece is from a management point of view, System Center Config Manager 2012, and if you want with Intune, Windows Intune, allows you to manage all of the devices across the board, different form factors, in a cohesive central location. And it also actually allows you to kind of manage the cloud services as well, which is really great because you don't have to go to 5 different places to manage 5 different workloads and scenarios. So which is I think really great from a management point of view. The last piece I'll touch on, and I'll actually pour it over to Doc for actually a demo on this one, which is, as you think of kind of security, it's one thing from a data, I guess, security at the data center level. But there's also, if you think of DLP or data loss prevention, it happens in a couple of ways. One is there's a malicious hacking of data, that someone deliberately goes in and is trying to steal information.